Probably going to be a short video. I don't really feel a lot of anxiety or fear anymore, which I think may have been related to the tetralead poisoning or whatever heavy metal, aluminum. Aluminum causes timidness and fearful. I don't really feel irrationally terrified, and my body seems to be more relaxed. I believe part of the things I might be feeling in my brain is my brain's neurons relaxing, and my brain probably going back to a more less scared state. I have a theory. I think something about being traumatized and then them giving you the tetralead or aluminum or something like that causes that state to be prolonged or indefinite. Yeah. For a while, I had to take a lot of B12 and drink a lot of magnesium. I still have to drink a lot of magnesium, but just to feel a little bit normal. So I think for the past 10 years, I was trapped in what the lizard brain or the survival brain, and I think that was due to the trauma I experienced. And only just recently have I not been in that trauma state. When you're in that trauma state, you care only about yourself. You're very something about the trauma brain is very similar to emotionally stunted, self-preoccupied behavior, and it makes sense because you are stuck in a state where you are trying to preserve your own life. So it does make sense that you would behave in an extremely stupid and selfish fashion. This coupled with constantly feeling fear and anxiety, and obviously this heavy metal shit kind of rewrites your brain. So you're not just resisting fear at this point, you're resisting your neural load being altered so that you feel a certain state. I find this fascinating. Imagine terrifying somebody and then poisoning them with heavy metals after that to make sure they stay in that state of being terrified. My theory is a straightforward one. I think this is part of the reason why the church members are so terrified of the church is they're traumatized and then give them the heavy metal and then they stay traumatized because the lead or aluminum causes the body to feel like it's constantly under attack. Because it is constantly under attack. There's literally bits of metals that are constantly flying through your veins, ripping you apart and giving off radiation that burns your insides. So your body goes, holy shit, we're under attack, we better go run and panic. That's kind of common sense. As I've gotten this shit out of my body, my vision's improved, and like even my scoliosis was really bad. It's still pretty bad, but it's improved. Thought processing is improved, brain fog, all that stuff, all that jazz. Even my skin tone is different, which is very fascinating. Yeah. Like I said, I did believe this was going to be a short one. I guess maybe I could tack on some other fun and interesting things. I remember Officer Fred telling me that you gotta if you drink the lead or aluminum, it's gotta be mixed with GABA to relieve some of the symptoms. And then he explained to me that a lot of the church members take GABA regularly. A while back, I had a coffee, and I hadn't had a coffee in a long time, and I felt terrified. I think that might be related to the heavy metal poisoning messing with your neurons, which might explain why these people don't drink coffee. Also, they poison coffee, so there's that. Obviously, you wouldn't want to drink coffee if you're in this church because you might get a poisoned coffee. The more you know. Unlikely for them to lift the coffee ban because they don't want members just getting fucking killed by other people who decide they don't like them. So, yeah, and there was this weird thing that I'm really bothered about because I remember somebody told me if you have the heavy metal poisoning, and the FBI guy said this, if you have heavy metal poisoning, they can't hypnotize you. That was not my experience. But I think that could be negated with the GABA. I think something about that. There's some type of correlation there. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. This is just a Bobby theory. Obviously, with the lead brain, you have anxiety, fear, and psychopathy and addiction. These are all negative traits, and they treat the addiction with LSD. LSD enables your brain in microdosing to function at a higher capacity for an extended period. Yeah. Which is also why, if you ever meet anybody with really freaky eyeballs that are like really dark, like really hard blue eyes, or like granite colored eyes, or black eyes, a lot of times they drop mountains of LSD. That's a side effect of dropping LSD. I remember the wives now telling me that you drop a lot of LSD, your eyes turn black. Yeah, unless they're blue, and they turn a really hard blue color. Yeah, so I think this might be my body's first experience with not being trapped in a survival state that is timid and full of fear. I believe my nervous system may also be resetting, or that could be wishful thinking. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this here. There isn't really much to this. I just felt the need to do a video on it. Maybe somebody out there with heavy metal poisoning could use this. It is fascinating that they can keep you in the trauma brain, or the survival brain, the lizard brain, and obviously that shuts off the halo brain, because that's the survival brain. Like, the more core instinct you get, the more panic and scared, the less of your other parts of your brain are active. And without those, you kind of behave like a moron. An asshole. Because you're constantly trying to survive, no matter what. Imagine your brain has a survival mode for a reason. Okay. You're not supposed to be constantly stuck in the survival mode, psychopathic and ready to kill anybody and sit on edge and constantly anxious. That's not normal, okay? You shouldn't be trapped in constant anxiety. You probably have heavy metal poisoning, but there are other reasons you could have constant anxiety, like it could be a thought processing disorder. The brain has different modes for different things for very specific reasons, okay? Yeah.